But have a personal relationship. Size limit reached. Size limit reached. So everyone, get to know your own higher self and love you some Jesus, whoever he may be.
You sure you're feeling all right, Ben? Ben? Huh? You feeling all right? You haven't said a word all day. Ain't no need to.
Okay. So I originally had started the video and I was pointing out this guy. There's this guy, I guess his name's Ben, which is Hebrew for son. And I guess he's Ben Harper because that's what they said his last name was. And that makes sense because we have somebody we know named Harper and it reads right. And I see that the TV, if it's not indoctrinating you, it can be used to give you clues from your higher self. Now, all my video got lost up the last 16 seconds, which is going to be the front of this video. I went outside to do my feed the birds for my dad and what he asked me to do about plugging in this light. And I nearly died because even the steps with the ice on it that I'm looking at, I take the single step, but it tries to throw me like a horse. And I didn't. I gave the birds their food. I checked their water. It was there. I don't know why it's not frozen, but it's not. There's a lot of frozen water, and then there's standing water that's not frozen. So it's really fucking cold, and in mixed conditions. Do I know? I'm not a scientist, so I don't know why there's water that's not frozen, and then there's some that is. I'm not trying to find out. I had to turn on one light, which is to heat the area above our water supply, which did not come on. And then I went to make sure I twisted on it, and it immediately popped on. I immediately stepped back, and I made my fucking way back into the house, where it's cold as fuck outside. I don't like cold. I don't do well with it. I don't prefer it. But I might overheat. If it gets too damn hot and I get naked, and I can only get so naked, I can continue to bundle up. Even in being in a pile of blankets, I guess I would be more happy than naked and on fire.
That's
I guess I don't have to
xenophobic
pick.
talk. You only saying
I
that
don't
because
generally
you're
like
in
the
the
cold
winter
weather,
time,
though.
and it is cold,
So it
not
makes
hot,
me happy that we don't
because you're
experience shit
racist.
like snow so often. Of course, I get the wonderment of a child when I see it and blah, blah, blah. Hell, I may even snow angel if I fucking am so inclined, but I don't really like that today. Ain't gonna be no snow today. I'm glad Dad made it back in the house. The birds appear to be doing fine because their area is warm, but they're not above being able to die from freezing too, so we continue to keep our birds alive. But now it is back to the focus of keeping our own asses alive, which I think would be most advised to be staying inside of the house today. I'm not a medical doctor, but I'm prescribing that for myself and my whopper, who's now moving about the place, deciding what he's going to eat. Now, he's got the crazy hair, and I know the feeling, because when I get the crazy hair, it drives me wild. It drives me fucking ape shit crazy. Don't go out there. Let me take that. Hand that to me. Don't do it. Don't do it. Won't. No. Wrong. Bad. I can't get him to take my advice and hand me the bowl. Maybe he needs to judge the outside for himself. I'm not entirely sure. But you know what? I'm not the king of the castle. I'm the prince. So I didn't interfere. And that's as hard rule as we're gonna have around here. Now I've already experienced today, and I'm gonna tell you what I experienced, and it's not gonna be pleasant because I'm gonna have to share it. I did a body movement of moving forward and squeezed out of myself a little bit of problem, and I made my way to the restroom, and I realized that little bit of problem was a lot bit of problem. Now I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but I believe it's called diarrhea, and I'm having intermittent diarrhea, and I don't like to say that, but it's something a human experiences from time to time. Now we haven't fully gotten through it because not only did we not able to eat because when we were sick, we just weren't able to eat. We still have some of our food that we haven't ate, and that's a blessing because we don't need to go and get any. Now last night we had a buddy of ours call and he wanted to check on us because he knew it was about time to go get the food stuff at the store. And I said, why don't we just go now? We can go to the little store. He wasn't really ready to do that, but he said, yeah, all right, let's go. And we went, and I was able to get the next round of propane that we will need when we run out. Now, what I saw upon the trip of going to the store was something I'd been experiencing or seeing occur along the way. And it made me feel good because it was being on the leading edge and getting ahead of the giant wave that I can feel in my senses and emotional body. Even the lady that was on the front desk, they were doing their cleaning to get the fuck out of there. It was a little earlier than I would think it would be for that time. But I've had previous experiences with both the ladies that work at the store. One I used to have problems with, where I even went to court in a fight against her in my dream because she was such a bitch and always trying to fuck with me. But I finally got through that shit. But I experienced it as a court case in my dream. And then one day, just to break the ice, to get rid of that sensation of whatever was wrong, I cleared the air and I told her about the dream. And she thought it was funny, and we've been cool ever since then. She's got a meanness to her, and she's kind of a bitch. So if you don't get to know that, you're not going to be able to handle that person. I'm glad he got through it. And there's another lady that came. She's younger and after her. But the strange thing about her is that I have an experience of my friend Victor's brother, Paul, marrying the exact same looking lady. Who at the time in the past I knew she was a security guard at some place, I think a chemical plant or something in Houston area, which actually matches kind of what's going on here. Because again, there's a weird like gatepost theme that just continues and carries on. And it falls to this store up here at the end of the, I don't know what I should call the store, because it's definitely not just a corner store. It's a matrix component. It's a matrix component. I gave a lot of props to Flowers, and I didn't get any of that to stand. Because what I wanted to say and got removed from the time constraint of the video was I was looking at this guy, this black guy, on this old Western TV show we're watching, is a very interesting character. And I asked my dad, "Is that a black guy?" He's like, I don't know. Now he's definitely black, but he looks like there's two comedians, Key and Peele. The taller one, who I think is bald-headed, it's the same guy. Now I know it's not him. He's not that old, because he'd have to be a hell of a lot older now. But what I'm seeing is the same person. This happens to me a lot. Now I haven't seen this guy on this show at all, and I walked into the confusion of it. But now I understand it because watching these TV shows and seeing where the positioning of myself is to the morning AM shows that are coming out of the box, it clues me in on what my role is to be in the Matrix, where I currently am at. And they were doing some really weird cinematographical shit with that guy, zooming into his face. And I asked my dad about this, and he's got this story about him and a black guy that were friends. That they both came into a building. My dad in one door, and him and the other guy at the back. And I imagine a room full of people sitting in cubicles. And since they're standing over them, this now makes sense because those were the same walls that were in the dream that I had of the Houston area. It had that inside of it. And my dad would come through the door and see the black guy and call him out using the N-word. And then the black guy would respond, I don't know his friend's name, and call my dad a honky or a cracker. I'm not sure which one he used. And then they charged at each other and embraced and put scaring the shit or freaking everyone out inside the sort of an asshole gang stalker move, but they're doing it to the people inside of the building. And I've heard this story many times. I don't really know what the fuck sort of place this would be because, like I said, I imagine cubicles and a weird shit. There's no telling what it was, but I'm imagining now with my own ability to freely imagine. Of course, I could go in there and ask him, but I'm not going to do that. He doesn't keep telling me this story for no reason. My dad's very well aware that we're trying to do some racial equality work within our own souls. So he gets it, I get it. And I told him about let me back it up. I told him what I thought about I watched before you explained Flowers, you know who you are. You explained the situation with Black America. You're half black, so I do say I listened and I take it only from black people because black people can talk about things that are their issues. And I like that. And it has nothing to do with any other thing than I am not at liberty to speak on black folks' issues. I am at liberty to care about them just as much as I care about my own people. And it really does upset me that that is the state of the nation because I saw 5 black guys. I saw them turn into a fist. Then they show another guy and they say, this black guy is dead. That's all I got from the news. And it's current and it really upsets me. It really does. It's not that there's nothing I can do about it, but this is what I'm left to be able to do. And the fact they make such a big deal out of it, the news or whatever, and the fact that the deal that they're making about it is so wrong and fucked up, I really felt relieved that that's where she went when she talked about it. She is you, you know. I know you'll probably watch my video. I know there's very few people that actually watch all the way through. And I'm trying to make a lot more sense of things that I have internal knowing of and am at peace with, and I got to share that with my dad. My dad slept a little later this morning than normal, and I talked to my brother for like 2 hours. And I listened to him and got a lot of questions about different points in time. And I did explain why that was significant, but I'm not going to be able to do it again because, like I said, my video limit reached. I'll just say this. My brother has a different dad than me. My brother has one son, my nephew Jacob. And my nephew Jacob and I can interact like a handler would with the programmee. And I told my brother that I have this relationship with Jacob and that I will not trauma ritual, Jacob. Do not worry. I said, he's got over on me. And I explained to him the situation when that happened. Because I went down to the river with my nephew Jacob because he enjoyed it. He wanted to go to the river. My brother's never been there. He's never actually gone down to the river. Neither does my sister-in-law, his wife. She's not gone down there either. When I got down there with my nephew Jacob, I asked him, why do you think they didn't come with us to the river? And he says, they're afraid. And when I probed him for what they were afraid of, he knew. And let me tell you something about these kids. He knew. He knew what the fear was of the thing that shall not, the real thing to be afraid of, the real enemy. He knew what it was. He was aware of it. I got this same verification from one of my other friend's kids. I asked her, was that the devil? And she's like, no, that's not the devil. I was like, thank you. Because of another friend's interaction. Now, I don't always know, but I can interact and I can get the right answer from more younger kids about things involving the unnatural and the spiritual realm. Why? Because I don't fuck with them. And I'm aware of them and I try to protect the kids from all fucked up shit that I can perceive. And this world is getting more and more fucked up every day. Now, one of those kids that I went down there with the last time I went to the river was inside of her mom's belly when we went to the river and I got to put my hand on that pregnant belly and communicate with that kid. And that kid communicated back to me. And then her mom went and had the baby. And that's Nalea. She's a little girl. And she's half Nepalese. Now, I don't know why her daddy didn't want to have nothing to do with her. Because he's an asshole. And he's already married to some other woman in his country. Now, I don't know. I don't really care. I think it's an interesting mix having that child that's half Nepalese. And I like the mom. I sort of almost have a jealousy thing going on because I thought she was cute and I was attracted to her. But I didn't make any attempt to try to have that form of relationship. And I'm all right with that. I still think she's kind of hot. And I might even try to get me some of that if she and my friend break up. That's a weird sort of fucking thing. I don't flirt with her while she's with my friend. And actually, them being together strengthens my humanity. It's a weird thing to say. But actually, I'm very comfortable with that. And actually, they interact very nice. They came over and made some cake for my dad and did all this shit. But I also experience hearing people say things I believe is demonic. And at least I did the time at the river. And the children and the river told me how to remedy this. And I did. I just took the river's advice. But I took it in a different sort of way because I didn't want to do anybody any harm. Because the human would be tempted in doing something like that. That is the wizard's test. To not do harm to demons. You definitely want to cast out the demons. And you definitely then want to murder, death, kill them when they're outside of the human body form, if you're able to do that. Now, I do believe the sickness my friend got when I called and to check on them, they were all throwing up and stuff. This is the mirroring back from the river. Because the entities that were inhabiting them were saying some fucking hellacious, evil shit. I went through the same shit when I went with a buddy of mine to the store to go get some stuff. Every fucking place we went. It was like he put the target on me and then went to take me to the store and was mocking me every bit of the way for being a dumbass, not driving my car, having all my cars sitting out in the yard, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, he was wishing to make some money from me And obviously, I'm not going to be able to participate at that level. I did able to get something for my dad, and that's how I did it. And then I called his ass out on it in text, and he has no idea what I'm talking about. And nor can he, because this is one of the strange things that occurs with dragons. Anyone that's a dragon on the dream spell calendar, it seems to be that with the females, like a mom and a daughter that's both dragons, I can get along great with them. I can get along great. And I take time and I have better results if I pay attention and I take the time and I let time do what it does. I may not outright understand, and it may be difficult. It has been before. But in the state that it is in now, it seems to be in a great state. Because my friend's mom came over unannounced, but I knew and I expected them. So that's the sort of shit that you get. And then I have the grandchildren, which is my friend's son and daughter over there, and I'm kind of friends with them too. I like them both. They're grown-ups, but they're still children. But we have this somewhat awareness. I gave the girl Anna a ring that I had because I thought she could appreciate it. It's a magic ring. And then I heard a whole video about it. It was talking about why that royalty would have this certain ring. And I do think that there is some royal blood going through there because of just communication and shit that we've had throughout time. And I've continued to email my lady friend some stuff. And it's very strange because the attractiveness I can have to her can turn on and off like a switch. And the fact that I had to email and explain some of this shit, and I took the time, and it was good for me to be able to do that. It was good for me. Am I ashamed of it? No. Have I made the best use of it? Yes. Would I be able to have the person come over and not be upset or whatever? Yeah, I could. It would be all right. But whatever pressure is put upon me by myself is then immediately relieved by communicating out some of the man-woman bullshit that becomes apparent and then sort of dissolves itself. It's very strange. But then again, life is weird like that. And I appreciate that I can have friends and I can be a friend. And I'm not even sure if the person will even like me or whatever. But I've had the most difficult time with her. And I have an easier time with the rest of the family. I'm not exactly sure why that is. But I am sure that I am in a better place to push through that because I've made that place for myself. It does involve a lot of learning, training, and shit, and it is possible. And a lot of more of the mystery of life is really just in your own self. That's all I want to say. That's my video. I'm not going to make any more today. Thank you, anyone that watches. Thank those who fucking got me into making videos and putting my own self on blast. I appreciate that. I still have a lot of issues with being a single male who's been so far removed from having female anything that it sort of makes me crazy naturally. And it might not be so good for me in any time to take any aphrodisiacs. It's probably not a good idea for me if I have to be alone. Because if I have to be alone and I go on that path and I have no contact or emotional connection with women, I'll probably end up dead with some weird heart attack or some dumbass shit. And I really would rather not. But when I'd ask my friends to help me breach that, yeah, I heard crickets. And one of them, the crickets were so strong that she even moved her whole self away. And I laughed because there's a unembodied form that continues to harass or whatever in that realm, and it's funny to me. But it's not oppressive or evil anymore because it seems to be an awareness that I can get a understanding of. And it's definitely something like a succubus. And trust me, you don't want to have relationships with a succubus. The best thing you could do is to shoo them off.